Hi, Luis. Thanks for meeting with me today. So good to
You're
see
welcome,
you.
love. Good to see you again.
When you mentioned the fawning response, that was shocking to me how it affects our body. And can you speak more about that?
Yeah, so when we're talking about fawning, we're talking about this trauma response where there's this reflexive social engagement. So you're forcing yourself to engage with people, even though you don't want to. And I think what ends up happening is your throat muscles will start to constrict when you want to say how you really feel, but you don't. And long term, over time, that can impact the thyroid gland. And so I would work with people as nutritionists for a long time that had thyroid issues. And when we got into the emotional stuff, all of them across the board had the same experience of not being able to express their truth or speak, their mind. And
Wow.
then it turned out they also had a fawning response that they lived in.
Wow. And how could you, like, let's say I'm a recovered fawner.
Yeah.
So, what would you tell these folks? Like, what would be some of the steps people can take to try to not fawn?
Yeah. Well, the first thing to understand about fawning is it's a hybrid. So there's the appeasement strategy where I'm forcing a kind of connection with you that I don't want to have. It's different from wanting to charm or wanting to compliment or wanting to be kind. It's where I'm forcing myself to go the extra mile to make you like me or to make you feel happy, right? So I'm performing connection. But what's happening simultaneously is the part of me that has real needs, like I want to walk away, or I don't think that's funny, or I want to say no, that part tenses and shuts down. I don't even feel it. So there's a freeze response simultaneously happening with the fawn response. So when I work with individuals or groups around fawning, I teach them how to first embody a freeze. Because this is how you actually know you're fawning or not. If you walk up to someone and say, "Oh my God, I love your dress, it's gorgeous," and there's this softness in your body, and you just have the joy of telling someone they're beautiful, excellent. That's not fawning. If I go up to someone, I'm going on and on about how much I adore them, and my whole body's tensing simultaneously, there's something telling me there's an incongruence between what I'm saying and how I'm actually feeling. So people have to start with embodying that constriction, that stress, and then behind that is the actual honesty. It's what really wants to be said or what really wants to happen.
So I think a lot of us have numbed ourselves
Yep.
over the years. Like I didn't even know I was tense until I got out of that situation and then realized. So how can we realize when we're doing it?
Well, everyone can do this who's listening. You can just pause and take your hand and put it over your belly, and you just give it a little pressure, and you just take a breath into that, and you start scanning your face muscles, your neck muscles, throat, chest, and where your hand is with your belly, and you're literally looking for constriction. What's doing this? You're looking for pressure, looking for tightness. And one of the best ways to do it is to have a pillow behind your head when you're doing this so you don't have to hold yourself up.
Oh, so you're like laying down.
Yeah, laying down or
Oh,
sitting up
okay.
against a wall, because then your
Okay.
body's softening because it's not holding itself up. So then you're really feeling where's the tension in a way that isn't. Let's say there's appropriate tension if I have to do this to sit up right now with you. Then if I lay down, I'm being held. If I'm still tense, those are the parts that are bracing. So the first piece of the embodiment practice is just learning how to track your tension. Because like you said, we don't even know we're tense until either we're in pain or we have a migraine or it's 8 hours later.
Or maybe we live in that every day.
Or living in it, absolutely. Or eating food or taking drugs or doing certain things to kind of bypass the tension. That can contribute to the numbness as well.
Okay. Wow. So waking up from that numbness, you're saying so like laying down or resting against a wall and then feeling part by part from the head down where we might be holding that tension.
That's right.
And then consciously allowing it, or maybe just noticing it. Is that
That's
the first
exactly
step?
it. Because a lot of us will think, well, I found the tension, now how do I get rid of it? We
Right.
don't actually get rid of it. The tension is a really important expression. So tension is the body bracing. It's the body saying no. It's trying to pull away from a situation. So what I help people do is once they feel the tension, you start to get a dialogue with it. So you ask the tension, what do you want to do? And it's amazing. People have never done somatics, who've never done embodiment work. There's an instinct that comes out. I want to hit. I want to cry. I want to yell. I want to pull away. Like there's a natural kind of visceral knowing when you just get in touch with that tension and ask it what it needs or what it wants.
So I need to talk to my tension.
Yes.
Wow.
And that's an animistic piece. It's weird for people, but it's an embodied parts work practice.
Hey, if it gets rid of the tension, it's worth a shot.
It transforms it, absolutely. It does.
And then do you find you have a lot of similarities with your work between Dick Schwartz's internal family systems work?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've only ever been exposed to his work here, last year and this year. And whenever I listen to him talk, I think this is amazing because I've been doing this without knowing I was doing this. The difference is mine is purely somatic. So we feel parts via sensation, but I don't label the part. So I don't say if it's young, I don't say if it's old, I don't say it's a protector. Not that that's wrong, but that's more cognitive for me. I prefer people notice, oh, there's tension in my chest. That's a part. Or there's softness in my belly. That's a part. Right. And then when you're with it, so much personality emerges. Emotions, needs, memories, things come from that part. But yeah, it's very, very similar.
Oh, that was interesting. Yeah, yeah. Because even the way you speak about it, it's like, you're relating to it in a similar way.
Relating to it is the key. Because if we're not relating to it, we're dominating it, or we're completely bypassing it. So to be with it is the practice for me.
And do you find it's hard for people to trust themselves to be open to this?
Definitely. Because it's highly sensational. When you are with your tension, that is extremely unpleasant. And most people conflate embodiment with calm. So they think to be embodied or to do embodiment practices means I will be calm and I'll feel good. But when you're walking around for decades of unfelt tension and pain, and you finally settle in and start feeling, there's a lot of uncomfortable sensations there, which actually means you're doing it right. That is a form of embodiment. But so many of us cognitively think we're supposed to feel good. So you have to start with feeling unpleasant, actually, and then you go from there.
Wow. And so let's say I'm with someone and I don't want to talk to them and I need to leave. Is that hard when you first start practicing that and removing yourself from a situation or putting up a boundary?
Oh, yeah. That was the hardest for me. And what I tell people a lot of times is I'm not trying to make people stop fawning. I'm trying to help them consciously fawn so they can physically feel when they're doing it so they can discern the difference. Because if I'm in front of someone, let's say, and I'm talking to them at a store, and I know I want to leave. I'm like, I want to leave, yet here I am nodding and talking and pretending I'm having a great time. That's me consciously being aware of the fawning. And then what I help people do is start by mobilizing parts of your body, usually the feet. So you can just start by just doing this with your feet, or moving your toes, and you're coming out of that freeze response that takes you over when you start fawning. And that might help you eventually say something like, I love talking to you, but I have to go now. Or I have something in 5 minutes, even if you're lying, I need to leave. And you start playing with creating boundaries that way. But it starts for me with the somatic piece of, let's say, unlocking that tension that comes with the freeze first. And then from there, we usually have more agency of how we want to navigate the situation.
Beautiful. And then, so folks that have been traditional fawners and they're actually sick, do you have a protocol that you do with folks, or is it all mostly therapy?
It's highly individual. So I have a general food protocol I teach people. That's what I call, it's like a balancing diet. It's called the quiet diet because it really settles a lot of the noise in the body from stimulants and depressant foods. So the quiet diet is just whole food balancing foods, eating at certain times, kind of like a simple regimen that anyone can follow entirely or little parts of. And that will settle down most bodies and get them onto a much more balanced chemistry. Because when you're in an adrenalized state and you're exhausted all the time or you're overwhelmed all the time, you are in a hormonally imbalanced place because you have excess adrenaline. So part of the food piece is to lower the levels of adrenaline and start balancing out all the sex hormones, the sleep hormones, the eating hormones naturally through that. So most people, regardless of what they're going through, when they do that kind of simple balancing diet, their system regenerates quite well. But people that have thyroid issues, I really focus on things like kelp for them because the iodine in kelp is incredible at helping to regenerate the thyroid.
Oh, okay. And you know a lot about nutrition. So what's your background on that?
Yeah, I started as a nutritionist. So I initially went to college to major in psychology. The DSM, which is the manual used to diagnose people, it just did not appeal to me. It lacked all curiosity about environment. So it saw people as individual identities that were bad or wrong or disordered, but it didn't ask, well, what was that in response to?
It was labeling.
It was labeling without any environmental curiosity. And our food plays such a massive role in our mental health. The amino acids we get from our diet literally turn into neurotransmitters, which help our brain chemistry be balanced. So what you're eating or not eating will contribute to so many different things of how you perceive life, and even your capacity to withstand certain stress and trauma. I believe people get traumatized sometimes because of the food they're eating.
Wow. Wow, that's very powerful.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's like a mic drop, but it's not yet.